it's not about aggravation, it's about devastation.
Welcome to Life, Business, and Everything in Between, the podcast for small business owners, creatives, and entrepreneurs navigating the space between big dreams and everyday chaos. I am Leslie Shields, a longtime entrepreneur married to another crazy entrepreneur and raising a tiny human in the middle of it all. Disclaimer. Before we dive into today's conversation, we want to let you know that this episode includes discussion around suicide and mental health. If these topics are sensitive or triggering for you, please take care as you listen or consider skipping this one altogether. Hi, Kathleen. How are you?
I'm great. How about yourself, Leslie?
I'm great. Thanks for being here. How I know Kathleen is through business. We're both members of the Entrepreneur Organization here in Fort Worth. And we both have a good mutual friend who we'll have to get Brandy Derrick have to do the podcast too. And so she's kind of introduced us and we have become fast friends. We're both in insurance. And so that's super helpful. And I am excited to talk about Kathleen's journey into business, her family's, how she got into insurance, her family's been in it, kind of where she came from and why it became important to her. So Kathleen, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Kathleen Alexander. I've been a State Farm agent going on 13 years. I am a Austin native, so I'm not from Fort Worth originally, but I truly love Fort Worth. I put my roots down here, my foundation here. And I'm a small business owner. I'm a mom and I'm also a widow. So I think that makes me a little bit unique.
Absolutely. Okay. So tell us a little bit about, so you're with State Farm. Mm-hmm. And tell us a little bit about your journey there. So your dad was in State Farm too, right?
Yes. So I am the youngest of four. All my siblings.
Girl, that's a lot of siblings. Yeah.
Oh, yes. And so I'm the youngest of four. All my siblings are in the medical field. And I quickly, recognize that, blood makes me squeamish. Not going to be in the medical field.
No, me too. I throw up.
Yeah, I can't do that. And so at a young age, I remember telling people, my dad gives people money, because I didn't really understand what insurance meant. And he would take me to his clients' houses. So I would be there when he's giving out a claim check. And I still don't understand the concept at that point. But I really...
It's pretty impactful though. Yeah.
Yes, because you're going, that's what my dad does. And that really left a impression on me. And I really looked at that my father. I mean, he was my hero, or is my hero. And so I wanted that too. And he was able to provide for our family and have flexibility. And I always thought it was really cool when I was little that I would call his office, go, I need to speak to my dad. So I mean, what else? I think that was so cool. So, and then I think from that and then going to college, I'm going, you know what? I really think I have that bug. I really do want to have that ability to be a small business owner and have flexibility and travel and be able to provide for my future family. And so with that, here I am today.
That sounds really very, very similar to my journey. So my dad was a financial advisor. He owned a small business. My mom owned a small business. And I knew after college, and he always could travel with us and, could support our family. And my mom she owned a business too, but my dad calls her a nonprofit. She's not a nonprofit. But he calls her one. She's in counseling. And so so he could provide for the family and had flexibility, could be there and did all the things and had his own business. And then I went to college, graduated, got a job and was like, I was in corporate for a few years. So this is my last job. I know this is my last job working for someone else, and started putting together how I was going to be on my own. And that came in the form of, I had a friend who sold health insurance and she traveled a lot. She made great money and I love sales. I was like, yeah, let's do that. That sounds good. Yeah. So kind of similar on how we saw our dads doing the role and drew it to us. And ironically, my mom was an RN for like 20, 30 years. And then my sister's an RN. Blood makes me vomit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah. It's not for me. Not at all. No. Okay, cool. Well, okay. And I know that your dad also being State Farm, but you are not part of your dad's business.
No. So my dad retired from State Farm in '04, the same year I graduated from college. So did not take over my dad's agency. I did not start my agency until 8 years later, and I was in a whole different city. And that was a challenge because I think as a female, there was that impression of, well, who's the agent? And I remember that early on when I started my career because it's been such a male dominating role. And that really hurt. And I remember calling my dad going, okay, did you have to deal with this? And of course not. He did not have to go through those same barriers that I had to go through. And I felt like I really had to prove myself. And I would work extra hard and stay late and work on the weekends to just prove to others that, hey, even though I'm a female, I did not get these things just handed to me. I did not just get this office because my daddy was the agent. And it wasn't as if I just inherited his policies. So I had to organically grow my agency just like anyone else. And I'm grateful for that.
I did the same, like when we would go to sales trips, like I'd win sales trips with my old, the big company I worked for when I started, and my husband would come with me and people would talk to him like he was the agent. And he's like, not me, not me. Yeah. Yeah. Same. I feel that. So tell me why State Farm? I know you're passionate about it.
This is going to sound so cliche, but I'll just say it. If you can't work for the number one, then why bother? I mean, I played golf as a child, and my dad always told me, like, hey, second place is first place loser. And so that to me, I'm like, okay, if I can't work for the number one insurance company in the United States, then what's the point? And that really just took to heart because I am a competitor, and I think that's important. And, you know, we might not be the cheapest, but I know without a doubt that we do have the best possible. We're still mutually held, and I can go on and on and on about that. But I think that's important. I think a lot of people just make assumptions that we're all stockholder companies and that, oh, you know, decisions are being made by these, you know, men in this big boardroom and they decide whether or not we're going to have a rate increase. And it's like, well, no, a State Farm, we're mutually held. Each policy owner owns a part of the company. And I think that's something that is really important, especially since we've been around for 100+ years.
So our podcast is for a bunch of different audiences, but primarily it's for people in business, people who are growing business, people who are thinking about a business. So tell me a little bit about, I know you're a super connector. I know you're really involved in the women's club. I know you have all of these things you do, and that networking has helped build your business. So tell me a little bit about some of the things that you started out doing, some of the things that have worked and some of the things that haven't.
I think, when starting out, you know, you get all this unsolicited advice and people are like, oh, join this, join that. And I did that initially. And I realized, well, what's the point? I'm not really that passionate about that organization, or I'm not feeling a connection. And so quickly I realized, hey, what are some organizations that I do feel passionate about that I would organically become a member of, regardless if I was a small business owner or not? Because I think people see through that. And I think also your purpose of joining an organization is trying to find your sense of, I guess, not worth, but just community. I'm not from here. And so I was truly looking for things that made me feel like I could be part of the community, to find my tribe or my village, because it can be very isolating and feel like you're on your own island as a small business owner. And so you want to be in a place where you feel connection. And so I think that goes hand in hand with networking, because people do business with people they like. Same with relationships and friendships. I mean, if you don't feel that you're getting the same out of a relationship, then what's the point of you continuing to going back to it, right? And so I think it's not just networking, but just building relationships in the community. And I just so happened to find my community with the Women's Club of Fort Worth. And I joined in 2008, and I can honestly tell you that I've met my rides to dies. I mean, they were with me with my first divorce, my house fire, when my husband took his own life. So, I mean, those are friendships and bonds that can never be replicated. And to me, that's what it's about. It's not just networking and promoting yourself, but finding that sense of connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true for any small business owner, that people will see through if you're being fake, of going, oh, well, here's my business card, call me for insurance, without any other thing. I mean, that's very selfish, I think. And I think the other big thing is realizing that it will happen over time. If you go in trying to join an organization thinking, oh, well, this is going to be my solicitation list. Oh, no, you cannot do that. And you can't make it simple. Yeah.
And also you get burned out, right? Like being that inauthentic all the time and trying to pour yourself into an organization or a group or a happy hour or whatever that you don't care about. I can't live that life. I have found my networking has served the season I'm in, right? In an authentic way. So when I was starting my business, I was single, I was living in Dallas. I would go to the women's happy hours. We'd go out after, and I made my like tribe of single women. And in my case, because a lot of them were a little bit older than me, I learned a lot about what I needed to know in the phase I was in. Right. I learned a lot about dating. I learned a lot about, going into my 30s, because I was in my late 20s when I started, and I got foundations that way. And then as, I moved to Fort Worth, met my husband, moved to Fort Worth, I needed to meet new people. I found that the networking I did met the season. Now, post-COVID, post-baby, I have a almost 5-year-old at home. The networking has, and as my business is elevated, my networking has changed again. Right. Yes. And so the way that I connect with people, and the people I need to connect with who are at similar seasons of life, are in different places. They're not at all the happy hours anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It just, it has shifted as I have grown too. And so I think that people who get into sales and think that I have to sell all the time, I don't want to be a salesperson, they're all, slimy, are missing the authentic connections that come from helping people.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly, because I love that you said slimy, because I do think when you hear the word insurance, people think, oh, we're just ambulance chasers. You're just, you're just getting rich off of me. And I'm going, no, that's not how insurance works. Yeah. And that's so awful, because you and I both know you can make a huge impact in a family's life.
Yeah.
And making sure that you are uncovering everything they need, because, hey, it's not one size fits all. It really isn't. I mean, I'm sorry, Flo. Sorry, the lizard. Like, that's not.
It's not
real
one size fits all. Right? Not. No, and I always tell, I've gone into the business saying, and I always tell my staff too, is that we are here to not decide someone's risk tolerance for them. We're here to help them uncover what their risk tolerance is, and then consult with them on what they can do, to cover that. And that we are not here to tell people what they should do. We're here to help them, come and see what is available to them for what they need personalized.
Yes, most definitely. I mean, I always tell my team, I'm like, that's a form of malpractice. If you went to the doctor and the doctor doesn't even listen to what's going on with you, and they just prescribe you the same drugs like they do for every other patient, then what good are you?
Yeah.
Like, what makes you different?
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about a team. Let's talk about going from solo and to building. How many do you have now on your staff?
I have 7.
Okay.
And I'm always growing. I think that's important. And I think that early on, I always thought I wanted to be the boss that I never had. And that really burned me, because you always think like, okay, I want to be the cool boss. I want to be the one that everyone loves and all these things. And then you realize that's not reality. You are dealing with all sorts of personality types. You're dealing with all sorts of people. And the quicker I realized that, the better I got at it, because your role is not necessarily the boss, but just a leader. And you can be a different type of leader than your fellow, agent, and that's okay. And I also think about how I go I'm leaning toward my dad and going, well, how did you do it? And he goes, always have the mindset of, if they leave you, are they leaving better than when they came to you?
Mm-hmm.
And that to me really made it click for me, going, when I interview people, when I meet people, I always want to find out, like, where are you heading? Where are you going? Because if I have that person that's like, hey, I'm on this train with you and I'm going to, jump off at this stop because this is what I'm looking to do. Hey, great. If I can make that a journey that they're able to leave with new tools or new experiences, then I've done my job as a leader. And that's hard because I think, just like when you mentioned with COVID, things shifted. People had different demands of what they wanted from a job, and they were looking at it as a job versus a career.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say that not when I look at my team, not a single one of them are the same. And I love that. They have all different strengths, all different weaknesses, but it took quite a while to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I finally have that team where I have a core where they have synergy. They like going to work because they like each other.
Yeah.
And that's important. And knowing, what are you willing to tolerate? And I say in every interview, I go, you know what? I'm the only alpha.
Mm-hmm.
I do not tolerate gossip. I don't tolerate you coming to my office complaining about another team member, because if it's getting to that point, then we don't have the right team. Yeah. Because I want you to go to your team member or your coworker to say, hey, I'm not okay with this or that. And if you can't figure it out, then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And it's
I love the leadership journey too, because it's gone from, like you said, like, oh, you go into it thinking you're like, I want to be friends. But then you learn very, very quickly that in fact, you being a friend and not a leader actually creates insecurity and distrust in your staff, right? They love you, but there are things that like you're just throwing around in your head, or maybe you're thinking about or talking through. That's not who you can talk through it with, because then you do create fears of instability. Like, are we okay? We're a small business. Are we going to make it?
Yes.
Like, sell the company? What's happening here?
Yes.
Like, are we going to
get paid?
Yeah, absolutely. And so you kind of start to learn that. And honestly, that's where EO came in for me. And so I've been in almost 5 years. I started as an accelerator while I was growing my business. And I learned all of these tools to build my business, things I didn't even know I should know. Right. Yeah. And so that has really helped. And then having a tribe of other business owners that I did not have in my life. I don't have it in any other alleys or avenues. And so that has been such a big game changer for me.
Oh, yes. And I think also, as a female, your team is more willing to tell you things that I don't think they would tell a male leader. I mean, I'm going, okay, boundary here. I'm glad that you feel comfortable enough to tell me those things, but would you really say that if I was a male? Probably not. And that,
but also there's beauty in learning to be an authentic leader and not trying to lead.
Yes.
As a male would, and leading into the power of being a woman in leadership.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Because it's not the same. I don't care. It's not the same. Mm-hmm. And I think also you have that empathy for your team at times, where it's like, okay, though, we can't just hire all of our friends, because if I wanted to hire friends, I would have had. And we all know that doesn't work. No. And so having those distinct positions. I will say that. I don't know if you ever went through that with you going, oh, she's my best friend. She'd be great as, a team member. Yeah. I did that twice. That was not good.
Not a good move. And you've always heard stories about it too, or people who hire their siblings or whatever. So my dad sold his financial advising business and had his health and life license for decades, grandfathered in. So when he retired, sold his business, he came and sold Medicare for me. And he sold for like 2 seasons. And then he was going into his 3rd. He was like, I really just want to be super retired. I don't want to be actually retired, and I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Awesome. Got it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your passion for insurance. So Kathleen does, and so just so everybody knows kind of who's listening, is the Shields agency does employee benefits. We do some life like Kathleen, and we'll talk about that and kind of why we're both so passionate about it too. And then individual health insurance and Medicare insurance. And so she does kind of the other side of it. And we have a couple of partner agencies that we refer to, and Kathleen is one of them. And we love that she serves our clients really well when we send them over there to her, as well as some other partners. But kind of let's talk about the passion and what you do and why you do it, and why it's more than, sliminess.
Yeah. It's not just insurance policies, it's people.
It's
And yeah, I think when I saw the first check that I paid out on a claim, that really solidified why I do what I do, because it is an intangible, right? Like, hey, I'm selling you this insurance product, and you're not walking out of the store with a bag going, oh, look how pretty and shiny. And you can't say, oh, you're going to 100% need this one day unless it's life insurance. And so you're dealing with all these statistics. You have people who've never used their insurance in their life. So they're like, well, the government's making me get this, or my mortgage company's making me get this. So I really hate you, but I'm just going to get it because I'm being told I have to do it. And when you start seeing the impact of going, well, it actually does matter. And when early on in my career, believe it or not, I had my first claim on myself. It was a house fire. I was building a house, and I was still, older 20s, and I was very naive. And we are there at closing, and the house caught on fire. And I'm going, oh my gosh, like, where are we going to live? I have 2 dogs, 2 cats. And that was on a Friday night. And I was already getting calls by Sunday saying, okay, we need to come out. We need to figure out where we're going to live. And I'm going, wow, that's the company I work for. And that right there, I was just going, I'm not just a insurance agent. I'm also a policyholder. And, that to me speaks volumes. And when I realize that people don't know what they have and what they pay for, that really bothers me, because they just think, oh, well, I just did what everyone else did, or I just called that 1-800 number. I'm going, insurance is so much more than that, because it's not about aggravation. It's about devastation. And flipping that switch, because people think, oh, well, the kid next door threw a rock in my window, so I need to call and file a claim. No. Yes, it's aggravating, but it's not full blown. I just lost everything because my house caught on fire because the lightning, hit it or whatever. That to me is why it's so important. I can say in my 13 years, I have tons and tons of stories similar to that. I have the great stories, but I also have the bad stories where I take it very hard when I get that call. And my team always knows what I mean by that call, where I have someone call me going, hey, I found that quote that you provided for my son. Did he ever get that policy? And I have to be the bearer of bad news saying,
no. Oh my God. I remember having to I had a client. This guy had been with me for like 5 years. He had been single when he started with me. We had talked about life insurance. We had talked about, we did the bare minimum on medical, but he did pick up some accident policies and a hospital policy. And he had a blood clot while driving. Like, he'd been married like 4 months. And wrecked his car and then went into the hospital and then passed away. And his new bride called and was like, did he have life insurance? I was like, no, I'm so sorry. He said that he was young and he didn't need it, young, healthy, and didn't need it. And I didn't know he was engaged, because you don't talk to everybody all the time.
oh no.
I didn't even know he was getting married until after his widow was calling me, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry he didn't have it. But what he did have, we were able to make claims on the accident and the hospital. So it wasn't like the payout of a life insurance. And he was a big breadwinner. And so she was left there with their new house and all this debt and the wedding. And it was just it was like, I'm really glad the piece he did pick up worked for you guys, but it was so devastating to say, no, I'm so sorry.
And especially when you know them. I mean, I do feel that I try my best to get to know people, because I feel like that's my job. I want to know what we're protecting. I
Yeah.
want to know that you're engaged. I want to know that you got that job promotion. And this is not a transactional thing. This is a relationship where, hey, we're going to harass you because we think it's important. You know, people don't call us because, hey, I'm just calling because we love you. They need you. And I mean, and that is what's so crucial. And I mean, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm sure the same way that you can go back where people go, yeah, if I knew that this was going to happen, I would have gotten that policy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen. Tomorrow's not promised.
No. And I know September is a big month for you. It is. So here's the cool thing too. Do you know that it's my 10th anniversary? It's your 13th and September is my 10th.
It's a great month, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's my birthday. So
there you go. Wonderful things to celebrate.
Yeah. So it's a big anniversary month. It's also Life Insurance Awareness Month and Suicide Prevention Month. Is that?
Yes. Suicide awareness.
Awareness. So let's talk about your anniversary. What does that mean to you? 13 years.
I still look at going, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 13 years. I feel like I'm that little girl that I'm like outside the office going, oh my gosh, that's my name up there.
You get a little imposter syndrome with that.
Yes. Going, oh wait, I am the owner. Oh wait. It's still surreal to me. I couldn't imagine doing anything else in life. I always joke, I'm like, if State Farm doesn't want me anymore, then I don't know what I would do. I mean, I am that passionate about it because every year I can look back and say, okay, look what we accomplished, or look at what we overcame, or what did we do differently and what didn't work. And I think that's what's so exciting. I mean, it's a journey. It's not a sprint. No. I'm still running the marathon. I don't know when I'll be finished.
No, it's yes. Yeah.
I
did have a friend tell me that about New Orleans though one year. He was like, Leslie, he was like, New Orleans is a marathon. It is not a sprint and you should slow down.
Yeah. Slow your roll. Because you're gonna wake up going, what just happened?
Yeah. Which I think is very, very similar to burnout, right? I feel that too. Very similar.
Yes. But yeah, and I'm still here. I look back and I'm like, my God, there are times where I'm going, okay, am I where I need to be? Am I going, okay, is it my time to turn my back on it? And I can say that, no, I'm still here for a reason. And, or I'll get that call from a client randomly that, you know, it's been me from day one. And they're just like, we're so grateful that you're still our agent. And that to me really resonates. And that gives me that passion in that way. Because again, in an industry that, you know, I've seen a lot of agents that didn't make it. And I'm going, wow, you know, we've done well and we continue to succeed. And I feel like if I'm at that point ever where I don't want to do those things, that I don't want to get better, or I don't want to sharpen myself, then I don't need to be there anymore.
Yeah.
I think that, so whether it be 13 years, 5 years, 20 years, I think that's the way you want to look at it. You just always want to raise that bar a little bit higher.
Absolutely. And then, you know, I love that you have so many personal connections to what you're doing, right? Like your dad was a State Farm agent. You are passionate about life insurance because you lived it.
Yes. It's something that I take very seriously, especially when I look back on my own experiences, and I apologize to getting choked up on it, because you never know the impact you make on a family until you see it and experience it. Prior to Rob taking his life, it's a very interesting, you know, I look back on the months prior to Rob passing, and a young lady came into my office. She had 3 little girls, and she goes, you probably don't remember me, but you made my husband buy a life policy. And I go, okay, that sounds like me. And she's like, oh, him. Yeah, going, why are you shoving this down my throat, ma'am? You know, we don't have that money, you know, all this, that, and the other. And he had died unexpectedly and left her and her 3 boys. And she just looked at me. She goes, never, ever stop asking people because I am so grateful, because without this money, I don't know what I would have done without my 3 kids, we would be homeless. And that's where I say, you know what we do matters. And I think that right there resonates with me more, because you never know about a diagnosis, like, hey, cancer. I mean, I've had people who come in and we submit them for underwriting, and then I get the call from underwriting going, they're not eligible. And I'm going, what? They look super healthy to me. They're 30, they're starting out, they just got married. And then they find out, like, oh, they have this, disorder or whatnot, and they didn't even know about it because they don't go to the doctor.
Because they're young and healthy.
They're young and they're immortal. It's never going to happen to me. It's going to happen to someone else. And that has to stop.
Yeah.
I really think that this day and age, and I know I'm going to age myself, but I feel like this upcoming generation, it's like, yes, it's great that you are strong, independent, but there is going to be a reality check. And you cannot control whether or not you're going to get cancer. You can't control whether or not you're going to get in a car accident. I mean, you might be the healthiest, you might be the safest, but accidents do occur.
So this totally inspires me. I think we just finished, Chris, my husband, and I just did our will and trust, like finally got it. Okay. We have an almost 5-year-old and we finally got in there and did it. And I probably need to have, my lawyer come on and do the podcast too, because
yes,
we didn't do it and we had fears about doing it because we weren't sure what we wanted to do, but they made the process super easy. But it aligns with that whole mortality thing, is you don't know. You don't know.
You don't. And I think also, being in the professions that we're in, we are constantly telling that to others, but we don't typically take care of ourselves because we're so consumed about others. And I'm embarrassed. I mean, I'm a widow. I should have the will. I should have everything perfectly aligned, because this is what I do for a living. I tell this to my clients every day. Hey, have you updated your beneficiaries? And going through that, it really just rocked my world, because you don't get a second chance. No. You don't get to go and have a do-over going, okay, well, if I could do it over again, no, it's too late. And the law is the law. The contracts are the contracts. Probate's probate. And there's no changing it. And if I can help others because of my own experiences, then I want to do that. I think that's so important.
So if you had a takeaway or a mission or something you wanted to share about Suicide Awareness Month and just the life you've lived and the experiences you've had, because I know this is something you're really passionate about, what can we put out there into the universe?
Talk to one another. I think there is when you hear the word suicide, people don't want to talk about it. And I remember being ashamed initially. I remember thinking that it was my fault and that I caused that. And I will say, it took a long time to realize that it wasn't my fault. And so when I talk to, there's different groups, you call it suicide survivors. You realize that we all have the same similar story when we think it was our fault, when really what it boils down to, it's just like any other illness. It's just like if you saw someone having chemo, you wouldn't just say, hey, buck up, buttercup, what's your problem? Why are you doing chemo? Well, it's just with mental health and with suicide, especially. I mean, there's just this stigma that, oh, don't talk about it. And I realized that the more when I got back working again, because you do change. Everything about you changes. Your whole body changes, your chemical makeup changes, your personality changes, your priorities change, and you're not going to be that same person. And that's okay. But if you are able to help others, and I remember when a client was because, when people say, oh, well, what happened to your husband? Because they assume like, oh, he had to have cancer. He had to have that. And when I tell them like, oh, he took his own life, they're like, oh, well, I'm so sorry for asking. I go, no, I'm actually glad that you asked, because if I'm able to tell you that, you might be able to tell others I don't want to use the term normalize it, but inform people. Because it's one thing that we really don't do a great job about. I remember too, a mother came to me about how her daughter committed at the age of 10. Why does a 10-year-old know what that is? Yeah. So I think having that conversation and letting people know that, hey, you're not alone, because the suicide rate for those who are impacted is significantly higher when someone's lost a parent to suicide.
Is it really? I didn't know.
Child
Okay.
is more prone to do it themselves. And so learning about that really has gotten me on this new projection of, hey, we need to talk about these resources. It's not just one size fits all. I mean, everyone has a different journey, but it's not that it's all the same thing where it's like, oh, this was something that they've been thinking about for years. I mean, all of them have their own story, but it's okay to talk about it. And there shouldn't be a stigma. You shouldn't be ashamed. You shouldn't be embarrassed because you did nothing wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. They were ill. And I think that's something that I want to share with others. And so I think that's why it's interesting, September is Life Insurance Awareness Month and then Suicide Prevention Month. I mean, it's just the irony, and Rob's took his life in September. So it's
a big month.
It's a big month.
I applaud you for having the courage and the passion to talk about it, because that's why we're doing this podcast. And that's why I wanted to do it, is there are so many authentic stories. And I think these authentic stories and having these conversations they make vulnerability connectable.
Yes.
Right.
Because it's not always perfect. And it's not always, if people see your successes thinking, oh, she has it so easy.
Yep.
And you're like, no.
Our first podcast guest was a friend of mine. And when I asked her to be on it, she was a hairdresser. She started a salon and then she closed her doors. And she said, you don't want me on the podcast. I have a failed business. I said, that's exactly why I want you on the podcast, is because we're talking about real stories. Because when you're an entrepreneur or you're a business owner or everything, you're an organism, you're a living organism, and everything in your life is connected. It's connected to the health of the business. It's connected to how you show up every day.
Yeah.
And the way you show up is how it affects your team members' lives too. And it's all one piece. And if one piece of it isn't healthy, then the others also struggle. And so this is where I know, and one of these, I haven't done it yet. I'm going to. One of the podcasts I'm going to get on and talk about kind of my journey and how I started my agency and where I was at life and my own mental health at the time and the people who came into my life and helped me build this. And I think it's very real. And I think talking about these things, that not everything is perfect.
Yes.
Helps us be human.
Yes. Very much so. Because I think what you see on social media, Instagram, Facebook, it's a different reality because that's not your everyday. No. There are sleepless nights. There are days where you can't stop crying. There are days where you're going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And that's grit. That's what it's all about. And I love that you had your friend that had to close her doors, because that's a reality. But you know what? She's still worthy. She's still a wonderful.
And it's part of the journey. She's rebuilt, right? Like all of this goes up and down, right? Yes. There are periods, like 2 years ago, we went through a hell of a lot in the agency and we had very minimal growth that year, but we survived. This year we're in growth mode. Yeah. And that's okay. That's part of it. It's the roller coasters. It's the ups and downs.
Yes. And finding people that can relate to that too. I think sometimes you get on this kick or like pride kick, or it's like, well, they don't understand. They make so much more. They do so much more better. And it's like, no, we've all gone through it. And that's okay to tell another person that, another business owner that, because it's not always, rainbows and bunnies and all these wonderful things that we always think of.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's grit. It's resilience. It's okay. We're going to do it all over again today. What's today going to bring to us, right?
If you had a takeaway that you want, to share, and then we'll kind of we'll do a takeaway and then we'll let you remind everybody about who you are, what you do, and how they can connect to you. What would your takeaway be?
do something today for your future self, whatever that might be. Learn a new skill, go on a hike, go do something that you can look back and say, wow, I'm glad I did that, because your future self will thank you, whatever that may be.
Yeah. So do something today to benefit your future self.
Yes.
Whatever that might be. And it can be small.
Yes. You don't have to do everything all at once.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So if you guys are listening to this podcast and there is someone in your life that you think could also benefit from it, please share. We are sharing real authentic stories and want to, I think part of Kathleen's message that I got was talking about these things, and the vulnerability it helps us connect, and it helps make people healthier humans, right?
Yes.
Is if we have more connection and we have more humanness.
Yes. Humanness. That's a great way to say it.
Humanness. It's a funny word, humanness.
Let's make
that it's not all perfect. Yeah. Yeah. And it can help us all be healthier. So Kathleen, let's remind everybody what your business is, who you are, what you do, and then we'll put it in the show notes too and across the screen on how they can contact you. But let's go ahead and remind them.
I'm Kathleen Alexander. Super easy. I go by Kat. So Kat's Got Your Back. That's my website. And I would love to help you out with all your insurance needs, whether it be life insurance, auto insurance, home insurance. I'd love to take care of you and your family. So.
Perfect. Okay. And you service more than just the community of Fort Worth, correct?
Oh, yes. I'm licensed in Texas. So I still support my friends in Austin. I have clients in Lubbock, all over the state of Texas. So you don't have to be local.
We are so lucky to have Kat's Got Your Back in our life. And just a reminder, I am Leslie Shields, and I am owner of the Shields Agency, and we specialize in employee benefits and individual entrepreneur health insurance. And we are doing this podcast to talk about entrepreneurs, talk about the journey, and have life, business, and everything in between.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Life, Business, and Everything in Between. If today's episode gave you something to think about or made you feel less alone in the hustle, we'd love it if you follow the show and share it with a friend. If you or someone else you know is struggling, please reach out for help. You can call or text 988 in the U.S. to connect with Suicide and Crisis Lifeline 24/7. You are not alone.